Bolt fam, things just got very real in Costa Mesa. Inside the building, the staff shuffled the deck, made a couple of moves that looked small on paper but screamed that this team is all in for the stretch run. At the same time, one offensive player is putting together a season that changes the identity of this attack. A division rival just embarrassed itself on the field, and there's a quarterback twist that could flip a career and shake up half the league. You're not going to believe what we've got today, so get comfortable, hit that like button, and let's dive in. To understand how serious this staff is, look at one quiet move. The Chargers brought back two trench guys to the practice squad, center Josh Kaltenberger and offensive tackle Foster Sarell. To make room, they released tackle David Sharp and wide receiver Luke Grimm. On the surface, it's just a practice squad shuffle. But if you know what Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman want this offense to be, it's a loud message about priorities. Protect the quarterback, protect the run game, protect the Harbaugh ball identity. When a staff chooses linemen over another fringe wide receiver, they're telling the locker room exactly what matters. Sarell isn't some random name. He's already lived the Chargers roller coaster. Practice squad, futures deal, cut, brought back, thrown into real games when the line was banged up. He's seen heavy pass rush up close and handled real snaps under pressure. 11 games in 2024, 17 in 2023, more in 2022 with a few starts. That's not star power. That's reliability. That's the guy you call when things crack and you need someone who knows the system and won't panic. Players like that are insurance in a long season. A tackle tweaks a knee, a guard can't finish. The pass rush on the other side smells blood. That's when a Sarell type gets elevated and keeps your season from falling apart. And with your franchise quarterback coming off hand surgery, any move that beefs up protection stops being depth and starts being survival. In a year where one or two hits could decide everything, building a thicker wall around number 10 is non-negotiable. Reinforcing the middle and the edges of the line also feeds straight into what this staff wants on offense. A nasty downhill run game, play action off of it, and chunk plays when the defense finally bites. The more the line holds up, the more physical the backs can be, and the less the pass rush can just tee off on obvious passing downs. Harbaugh and Roman have always trusted big, physical offensive lines they can rotate. Bringing back Kaltenberger and Sarell fits that blueprint. They're not chasing flash, they're doubling down on identity and telling the Bolt fam, this team is going to live and die with the trenches. And speaking of identity, if there's one story nobody had on the bingo card back in August that now defines this offense, it's Kamani Vidal. Remember when he was basically an afterthought in camp? Just another name in the back of the depth chart? Fast forward to the Raiders game. 25 carries, 126 yards, a touchdown, and 124 of those yards coming after contact. That's not just production, that's attitude. That's a back refusing to go down and dragging an entire offense with him. In a divisional game that easily could have turned messy, Vidal was the stabilizer. While the outside world wondered how much the team would miss Omarion Hampton and whether the Chargers needed to trade for another back after Week 5, he just took over. Now you can't talk about the present or future of this backfield without putting his name front and center. 3 100-plus yard games on the ground in a single season, something a Chargers running back hadn't done since Melvin Gordon in 2018. That's the kind of stat that forces defensive coordinators to stay up late. And he's doing this in a heavy run scheme. This isn't some finesse system where you live in space all day. This is Greg Roman calling old-school physical runs and asking his back to win between the tackles. Vidal isn't just surviving, he's thriving. Think about the arc. Disappointing preseason, cut, practice squad, crawling his way back, and now sitting at over 500 rushing yards with receiving production and 4 total touchdowns. He's gone from camp body to locker room pillar. The impact goes way beyond the box score. With Vidal at this level, the Chargers gain cap and draft flexibility. As an exclusive rights free agent in 2026, he'll be cheap. That matters when you're trying to fix other spots on the roster. Instead of overspending at running back, you can pour resources into offensive line depth, pass rush, secondary help, whatever you need to make a real playoff run. Vidal performing like this basically buys you options. Omarion Hampton's return adds another layer. If you go into Monday Night Football against the Eagles with a true 1-2 punch of Hampton and Vidal behind a line that's starting to click, you're not just hanging on, You're dictating terms. Against a Philadelphia run defense that has shown cracks, this could be the kind of showcase where the rest of the league realizes the Chargers might quietly have one of the most physical backfields in the AFC. If you believe in this style of football, let me know in the comments, because this backfield is going to be a hot topic. While we're hyped about this new ground and pound look, there's another side to this story that completely blew up in the same game. This wasn't just a win. It was a night where the Chargers exposed the Raiders' lack of composure and showed exactly where each franchise stands. You know, a rivalry gets real when your own quarterback, with a broken left hand, becomes the center of the storm and still controls the emotional temperature of the stadium. From that opening drive, the offense looked sharp, marching down the field. Then Justin Herbert breaks his left hand near the end of the series. Most quarterbacks start thinking about next week. Not this one. Herbert goes to the locker room, gets taped up, comes back with that hand wrapped, a glove on, and a look that says, "I'm not leaving this game." He misses just 8 plays. The second the Raiders realize nothing will chase him off the field, the game turns nasty. Max Crosby, the emotional engine of that defense, crosses the line with a dirty shot to Zion Johnson's back, nowhere near the ball. Linebacker Eland and Roberts seems locked in on testing Herbert's injured hand whenever he can. Late hits, extra contact, always around that left side. It feels like the Raiders are trying to win with cheap shots because they can't win with execution. Here's the twist. Herbert doesn't just take it. He steps into the mind games. He talks. He points things out. He forces the officials to pay attention. After multiple hits on him and his teammates go uncalled, he cranks up the pressure. Eventually, Crosby shoves him to the ground, and Herbert sells it just enough to make sure the refs see everything. Flag, 15 yards, unsportsmanlike conduct. That penalty helps the Chargers slam the door on the game. That moment was bigger than a free first down. It showed maturity. It showed this team isn't going to play the victim in big spots anymore. The offense adjusts at halftime, the defense tightens up, and your quarterback doesn't just lead with his arm, he leads with presence and toughness, taking the hits and still making the opponent pay on the scoreboard. That old feeling that the Chargers would fold in chaotic games, it's fading. Now it's punch back, answer, make the other team lose its cool. And then came the bomb the next day. Herbert's hand surgery changes the shape of this week and maybe the season. Number 10 is pushing to play on Monday night against the Eagles. You know how competitive he is. He wants that stage. But inside the building, everyone understands. Toughness has limits, and the league doesn't care how bad you want it if your body can't hold up. That's where one forgotten name suddenly steps into the spotlight. Trey Lance. Yes, that Trey Lance. Former 3rd overall pick. A raw talent who never got real continuity. The guy who lost his shot in San Francisco when Brock Purdy took over, bounced to Dallas, and eventually landed here. Now he's QB2, and this might be the first real chance of his career to start a huge game on the road in prime time against a contender with the whole football world watching. That changes how you build the game plan, how the locker room prepares, and how the league views him. Lance is one of the strangest cases in the modern NFL. Big tools, tiny sample size. Only 4 career starts. Injuries and timing derailed everything. Now he's in a Harbaugh-Roman system built to help mobile quarterbacks with run-heavy looks, play action, and RPOs. One strong start on Monday night could flip the narrative around him. And you can bet quarterback-needy teams are watching. Organizations like the Falcons, Steelers, Vikings, and others that might not be in position to draft a blue-chip rookie. A player like Lance, with upside and a still mysterious ceiling on a reasonable deal, becomes very attractive as a bridge or reclamation project. If he plays well in relief of Herbert, his value skyrockets overnight, and the Chargers suddenly have a fascinating asset on their hands. Before we talk trades, though, there's a simple reality for this coaching staff. They have to be ready to flip the offensive script if Herbert isn't cleared. That means more designed runs, more RPO, more movement in the pocket, and an even heavier dose of Vidal and Hampton. It means leaning fully into Harbaugh ball, shortening the game, protecting the defense and asking Lance to make enough throws to keep the Eagles honest. It's a thin line between massive opportunity and total chaos, and everyone in that locker room feels it. So take a breath with me, Bolt fam, because after all these twists, one thing is clear. This team is changing right in front of us. The quiet reinforcements in the trenches show planning and intent. Kamani Vidal's breakout shows a real offensive identity taking shape. The beatdown of the Raiders shows maturity and control in big rivalry games. And the Herbert Lance situation shows resilience, depth, and new possibilities that could ripple across the league. None of this is small or random. It all pushes the Chargers toward a potential turning point. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 4 storylines hits you the hardest as a Chargers fan? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like, subscribe to the channel, and stay locked in, because this ride is just getting started.